The Spurs just did something they haven't done more than 4 times over the last 3 NBA seasons. He wasn't supposed to play, and then he did end up playing, and he had a phenomenal game. Down 17 at one point, and they come back and they beat the Golden State Warriors. The San Antonio Spurs have won 3 games in a row for the first time in 4 years. We're going to break down here how they did it and how this is something that can continue here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. We appreciate all of you guys and everybody who is here at Spurs Digest who's seen this thing grow from the beginning. If you haven't, if you're joining on, we appreciate you guys here too. If you haven't yet, take a spur of the moment, get every Spurs moment by hitting that subscribe button down below. And you know what? Let's just get right into it. The Spurs, big win, a 10-point win over what is the best team in the Western Conference. This is a team, if you've ever seen it, okay, every year Kendrick drops an album, the Warriors have won a championship. Okay. Every time they start 11-3, they get to the NBA Finals. History is telling us that this is a final team. This is a team that can compete for the championship. We beat them. We didn't just beat them. We came back and beat them. I understand they're on a back-to-back. They just played the Pelicans. They're NBA stars. What else they got to do? They're fine. They went from New Orleans to San Antonio. It's not like they went cross-country. It's fine. Massive, massive win over the Golden State Warriors. They were down 17 with 1 minute to go in the third. The Spurs closed the game on a 40-13 run. They held Steph Curry in check. Not many people do that. He's been having a very good, efficient season. They held him in check. That's insane. There's 40 points over the last 13 minutes of the game and held one of the league's best offenses to only 13. That's insane. Spurs are now 9-8 winners of 3 in a row against the Thunder and the Golden State Warriors. Victor Wembanyama is elite. Young guys, Stephon Castle, Branham, Wesley, all of the young guys growing. Vets, CP3, Harrison Barnes, hooping. The San Antonio Spurs haven't had a starting 5 that has been healthy for 1 game yet. It is scary hours. We presumed before the season started, the starting 5 was going to be once Vassell came back. Chris Paul, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Sochan, Victor Wembanyama. Off the bench, you were going to have Tre Jones, Stephon Castle, Keldon Johnson, whatever big they wanted to do, which was Manu, which was Bassi, which was whomever that was going to be. They were going to rotate in between that. Zach Collins as well. All of that was there. And then Julian Champagnie, I didn't mention that. That was supposed to be the main, really, 10. That big spot was going to rotate. And then the guard position, you have Wesley, you have Branham. Those guys were going to get their minutes, those spot minutes when you need them. We haven't even had that yet. And this team's still over 500. This team is still over 500. And CP3 has quietly been nasty. I did a video on this way back. This is when he was talking, when Chris Paul was in training camp, and it was before even Wemby came back over to the state. And he was working with the San Antonio Spurs. He was working with some of the younger guys. He was getting himself acclimated. He doesn't need to do that at this point. Chris Paul's doing it because 1, he cares about his sport. 2, he cares about the San Antonio Spurs. And 3, he cares about being a leader. Because there's no need at this point in his career for him to be like, yeah, let me take time out of my summer for he doesn't have to. He's a completely made man. The only thing he hasn't won is a championship, but he's a completely made man. He has brought a level of stability, playmaking, a sense of calm in the closing games. He's been an elite closer for his entire career and continues to do so. I mean, we know Game 7, I think 2013, same day as the Mayweather Pacquiao fight. You guys remember that one, unfortunately. Helping teach the Spurs how to win. A lot of respect for the 39-year-old point guard. And this is what I was saying when people were saying we should tank. In the comments, it's been flooded here with either this team can actually go and make a run or this team really should just try to tank. It's been 50-50 on both sides. And this is what I was talking about when tanking. Even if the Spurs don't end up making the playoffs or even the play-in, these moments are the big ones because someone like Stephon Castle, someone like Victor Wembanyama, 22 and 60. Even like everyone, honestly, on the Spurs, that's not like an older vet. Harrison Barnes, Chris Paul, all of them are young. So you have to think they haven't had a winning season for the most part. It was 34 and 48, 22 and 60, 22 and 60 the last 3 seasons. That losing becomes almost infectious. I understand you have Gregg Popovich, but when Gregg Popovich hasn't had a winning season in half a decade, and he's getting much older, obviously, prayers to Pop again. We hope he's back soon. That's the other wrinkle that we have. But when you're older, like, then you haven't had it, you guys just don't have the winning culture of old. You're like, oh, remember these Spurs teams. And now you can actually feel it. Now you can get to that point where you're like, oh, this is what the winning culture feels like. This is how it should be. Let's continue it. You have a champion in Harrison Barnes. You have a guy who's been to a finals, a couple conference finals, and many playoff series, and Chris Paul building this roster, not only just with the coach. So let's get into all of this. We didn't think he was going to play. He decided to have 25, 9, and 7. He was a monster all night. You had Harrison Barnes at 22 and 8. Castle had 19, 3 and 3, picking Steph Curry's pocket. That drive that he had to the basket where he laid the ball just showing the athleticism, the ability to get downhill at an elite level. And he hit that 3 late, showing that he's not afraid to shoot the ball. It's just he needs to get better mechanics, get more into a rhythm, and just continue to shoot and shoot for his entire career, for his entire lifetime. Every time he plays basketball, there's also school attached. Okay, I'm in high school. I play basketball, but then I gotta go to school. I gotta go to class. I gotta do blah blah blah. Obviously, when you have the summers when you're playing AAU, cool, and then you go to UConn, and you're like, okay, I gotta go to school. This is the first time in his life he can just only think about basketball. He obviously can do other hobbies and things like that too, but he doesn't have to wake up and think, oh, let me go get my degree. Oh, let me go to class. Let me go think of English class. Let me go home and do homework. He doesn't have to plan for that. What he plans for is basketball. So this guy's only going to get better, and he's not even 21. This guy's young. We have such a young nucleus and roster that this team's going to be great. There's just the excitement that we should have in San Antonio right now, it should be through the roof. And if you're not that excited right now, I don't know why. I really don't know why. You should be excited. A 3-game winning streak for the 4th time in 3 years. We had 1 last year, towards the end of the season. We had 2 the year before. Like, these things don't just happen in San Antonio right now because they haven't built a winning culture, but now we have the team to build a winning culture, and we only can do more and only do more. Holding Steph Curry to 5 of 16 and 3 of 10 from 3, that is a good night. That's a great night. Draymond Green did not have the impact he typically does on the game. He's been shooting well from 3. He didn't make one single 3. He didn't have the full defensive impact that he typically does. He played well, don't get me wrong. But is that 0 steals and 1 block? That's not Draymond. Draymond can get you 3 and 3. I mean, Draymond's gotten a triple-double with steals, blocks, or with steals, assists, rebounds, and had multiple blocks in that game. The way that this San Antonio Spurs team has played is just a phenomenal. Ended obviously 81-64, 155 left. Ended the game on a 40-13 run to get that third win in a row. Obviously, Spurs went on an 11-0 run for a 97-90 lead. Wemby accounting for all but 2 points. It's just showing the youth leading it and taking it home. Golden State was scoreless for the last 4.5 minutes and did not make a field goal from the 5:19 point on. That's 5 minutes. This is a team who's won 4 finals, been to 6 finals, been to 6 conference championships. They've legitimately, conference finals, not conference championships, not football, but been in any situation you ever can be in. Anyone. They execute at a high level. That is what brings this team and makes this team such an elite team. They've seen everything. They execute their game plan at a high level. We stymied them from executing that game plan. The bench is averaging 50.4 points, held them to 36. The Spurs bench outplayed the Golden State Warriors bench. That doesn't happen. They have the best bench in the league right now for the depth-wise and how they've been playing. They go in a 12-man rotation for a reason. Better than that. The Spurs only previously led for 22 seconds when Barnes hit the opening shot and then on a layup 21 seconds into the first quarter. Then Golden State went on an 11-0 run and first for a lead to 28. Man, I just can't be more excited. I want to show you guys what Stephon Castle said post-game. He said, just being in our locker room, I feel like we're pretty connected. We believe in our abilities to really make a run in the playoffs this year. The reporter had asked him about how's the locker room compared to last year to this year. He was talking about how it really wasn't there last year, but the way it felt was just not the same as it felt this year. And couldn't agree more. I mean, I couldn't agree more. There's nothing else that I want to talk about but this. Hope everyone sees this. Jeremy Sochan also putting in one-on-one work. The team says his return is not too far off, might even be ready before Christmas rolls around. They're precautionary with Vassell. Vassell's not going to be out too long. Jeremy Sochan looks like he can be back before Christmas. This team has won games without Victor Wembanyama, without Devin Vassell, without Jeremy Sochan. Can you imagine Christmas Day? We wake up, we get the presents, we're like, okay. Oh, man, it's this great time. Santa came. Everybody's here enjoying either the snow, the sun, whatever you're enjoying on that day with your family, friends, whomever you spend your Christmas time with. And then you wake up. It's 12 o'clock. And you're like, oh, man, we got to turn on some basketball. And, oh, what are we going to do? Oh, it's the Spurs. They're playing the Knicks? Is that who the Spurs are playing? And then you look at the floor and you're like, okay, Wemby's at the tip. I see Chris Paul there. I see Devin Vassell. Okay, I see Jeremy Sochan. I see Harrison Barnes. And you're going to think to yourself, when we're over 500 at that time, why did I hate on this team? Why did I doubt what this roster can do? Is this team finals bound, like they're just going to go for it? They're not. Let's be completely honest with that. Of course they're not finals bound. Teams just don't go from 22-60 to the NBA Finals. This isn't the NFL where teams can go from bad to the playoffs. But what this team can be doing is playing in April. They play well enough, maybe they can play the first week of May. Second week of May. But let me know in the comments what you guys thought about this game. How big of a moment do you think this is? Again, fourth three-game winning streak in 3 seasons. It doesn't happen often, and it's going to continue to happen this season. We have the roster for it. But let me know in the comments what you guys thought about this game and what you think about the Spurs' chances to make some noise in the play-in, the playoffs, wherever you think they can go moving forward. This has been Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be seeing all of you very soon.